Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are talking about three supposed promises that are broken by Wargaming, or three supposed lies that Wargaming has told the community over the years, and always gets brought up every time changes or updates are brought out, especially concerning the news that was released yesterday, the updates to the Submarines and the Super Battleship event. Both of those events kind of touch on some promises that Wargaming supposedly made back in the day. We're going to take a look at those here in a minute and discuss that. But before we get too far, they did release some images of the super battleships that will be used in this temporary mode. I'll throw them up on screen right here. The Satsuma, like I thought, is just going to be an extended Shikishima with another turret on it. The Hanover, on the other hand, boy, it looks like Kerfurst went to the gym, took his pre-workout every day, and boy, he's a big old boy. Look at him. Like, God, this event's going to be nuts, and I can't wait for it. And by the way, these are just being added in for this temporary event. These super battleships are just for this event. Quite a few people seem to think that they are being added in as tier 10 premium ships. They're not. They're just being added in for this event, so everyone can kind of take a chill pill for that. But anyway, the three broken promises that always get brought up every time some changes are mentioned about the game. The three are, one, Wargaming said that there would never be submarines in World of Warships, or rather, World of Warships devs said that there would never be submarines in World of Warships. Two, that they will never add in a caliber larger than Yami's 460mm 18.1 inch guns. 3, that they would never sell tier 10 premiums directly. So let's take a look at these promises and see, have they broken their word or what? So here we go. First one, never submarines. This one has the most merit out of the three in my opinion, because way back in 2015 a dev diary video was put out, and keep in mind this is before World of Warships was even released, and in this dev diary video we had Chieftain, who is very well known around the water tanks community. He does a lot with water tanks, and he himself is a tanker, and he said that there will never be submarines in World of Warships. It's not designed for the game, so forth and so on.
It doesn't work in the game. There will be no submarines. No submarines in the game. There will be no submarines.
So, being that this obviously did happen, they actually addressed this in a video put out in 2018, where he does eat his words and confirm that submarines are coming to the game.
I should know by now. I've been doing this long enough. Never say never. Oh well. Cheers.
Now, 2018, that's, 3 years ago now. And this video came out, the first video came out in 2015. That's 6 years ago. So, technically, yes, someone from Wargaming did say that there will never be submarines in World of Warships. However, it's not someone that was directly on the World of Warships team. And as they said in the Waterline video yesterday, they really didn't start working on, the World of Warships devs didn't start working on submarines until 2017. So that would be 4 years ago now. Jeez, God. Time is just going by, isn't it, boys? Anyway. So, if you go on like a technical basis, no one from World of Warships said that submarines were never coming to the game. Now, someone from Wargaming did, and they went back on their statement and even said that, they should have known better to say, never. But here's the thing. World of Warships is an online game. It's entirely based online. You can't even play it offline. And the way that video games are nowadays, you really can't just release something and say, all right, that's it. You have to keep the game going on. You have to keep adding in new content and new features to draw in new players. Now, like I've said before on the matter of submarines, I don't think we were at the point to where the devs had to go, okay, we're running out of stuff to add into the game. We need to go ahead and add in submarines. There's new lines, potentially other new classes that could have been added in before we got to the submarine point. I mean, we don't even have a British supercruiser or battlecruiser line that you could easily do and has been highly demanded by the player base. We're getting Dutch cruisers, which I think is very cool. And there's whole, you have years worth of content of lines out of Europe. If we're going on an individual nation basis now, like we are with the Dutch cruisers, we're like 2 or 3 years away from running out of content and having to go to submarines, in my opinion, at least. So the decision to introduce submarines this early isn't a good one, in my opinion. But I do think it is just a matter of time. If they don't do it now, it would have happened, potentially 3 years from now. They were coming one way or the other. And from playing submarines through the various testing phases, I can't lie, I had fun. Being stealthy, sneaking around the map, submarine versus submarine battles, which didn't really happen a lot or at all in World War II. Well, they happened like one time, I do believe. Were incredibly fun. Trying to dive around each other, dodge each other's torpedoes, trying just get the perfect angle to get your torps off. That was a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun doing that. So overall, submarines, in my opinion, like I've said before, if they're done right, they could be a wonderful addition to the game. And it does look like they might be the best handled new addition to the game in recent memory. Like, the CV rework was completely rushed. Commander rework completely rushed. But with submarines, they're taking their time, doing a lot of testing, involving the community a lot. Like I said in yesterday's video, they listened a lot to what we had to say. After the second round of testing, they implemented a whole host of features, counters to submarines, and just mechanics that we asked for. They added it in. You can go watch my submarine update video from after the second test. I'll link it somewhere on screen. They listened. You cannot deny that they listened for that. So I have a very good feeling about submarines. But like I said, I do think it's too early. We weren't to the point to where they had to be added in just to keep the content flowing. But yeah, if you want to go by the viewpoint of someone from Wargaming said there were never going to be submarines added into the game, that is true. But if you look at it objectively and in context, it makes a little bit more sense, and you can understand why you can't really hold them to it too hard. But this is the one that has the most merit, again, in my opinion. Next thing, alright? The no guns bigger than Yammy's 460mm guns. Well, I did some digging on this, and this was never said. The most recent mention of it you can find is from about 2 years ago, from right after the CV rework. And a Q&A done on Reddit with Suboctavian. One question asks, a long time ago the devs said that no future ship will have a main gun caliber of more than 460mm. Obviously, you guys have broken the promise with the 50mm pew-pews in the April Fool's 2016 event. Will this be broken again in a more serious fashion, or is it still valid? And Suboctavian responds, I don't think we gave a promise, quote please, and with all due respect, please let's distinguish between intention, we don't, plan, etc., and promise, we commit to, we promise, etc. So there's no strict ban on 460mm ships. But as the low pen ability is quite valuable, we don't really want to rush any such ships into production. Can they appear in the future? Yes. Never say never, as history teaches me. So there you go. And I read through the rest of this post and the responses and stuff, and no one ever found a quote or whatever from the devs saying that they won't add any guns bigger than 460mm into the game. Now, if you guys can dig it up, please post in the comments down below. Post a link to it or something, and I'll gladly release a corrected video with that quote. Alright, so that obviously, Shikishima came out, 510mm guns, and honestly, it's not really a huge deal unless you're going for the historical context. They don't pin any major threshold that the Yami can't pin already. So it's really just a Yami with 6 guns, but they're really accurate, but they overpin most of the time, but when they do connect, they do a lot of damage. But other than that, it's actually worse than Yami for competitive, because with Yami and 9 18-inch shells hurt a lot more at the end of the day than 6 20-inch shells. So anyway, so that one's just not true. Last one is the we will never directly sell tier 10 premium ships. So I had to do a lot of digging on this back when the ARP Yamato came out, because I believed this one for a very long time until the ARP Yamato video came out. And turns out that also has never been said by anyone on the World of Warships team. That is something that came over from World of Tanks and was said about World of Tanks. And people just immediately assumed that World of Tanks, World of Warships, sister games, obviously the same rule must apply, but it does not. That being said, I don't support the direct selling of tier 10 ships. And there's a lot of argument about tier 9 and tier 8 ships as well. My thing is, you shouldn't really be able to just buy your way into higher tier without having some experience in the game. So things like free XP ships and coal ships where you have to save up a lot of resources over time, I'm fine with that. That way you have experience with the game, and then you can get your shiny tier 10 or tier 9 or tier 8 premium ship. But directly selling tier 10 ships, I am not in favor of that at all. So 3 major lies or promises that are supposedly broken or told if you're going from the viewpoint of them being lies. 2 of them are just outright false. 1 of them kind of half true, but gets better if you look at the context of it. So what's the point I'm trying to make here? The point I'm trying to make is that World of Warships is a online game in 2021. You have to add in new content and new features to keep people interested and keep people around. And sure, having big guns is very interesting. The Shikishima was a very popular ship and still is a very popular ship, but unfortunately some changes were made to it that I don't agree with, like with the secondaries. But Wargaming isn't this evil company it's made out to be a lot. And before people start commenting, I'm not a CC, I'm not supported by Wargaming, I don't want to be a CC for various reasons that I've covered before, and I've never talked to anyone from Wargaming except for once when we had some issues during clan battles. That's the extent of my communication with anybody from Wargaming. But it's just kind of disheartening to see the outrage over every little thing, like with yesterday's news. People were losing their minds that Wargaming is releasing the super battleships and still going forward with submarines when, according to them, they haven't addressed the problems that the game has now. Truthfully, they are addressing the problems that the game has now. Did we all forget 2 weeks ago they announced Deadeye's leaving in 10.4, among a host of other changes, including increasing the accuracy for Italian battleships to compensate them for Deadeye being gone, several balance changes being made to ships that certainly needed balance changes like the Thunderer. Now, does it take the devs longer to do this than most people would like, including myself? Yes, it does. However, with Deadeye, I mean, I don't think anybody saw it just being outright removed this fast. I thought they were going to crank it down to like 5% and leave it there, but no, they're outright removing it. And like with the Thunder should have been nerfed before she left the shop. It's kind of silly. No, it's not kind of silly. It is really silly that she's being nerfed now after she's out of the shop, after people saved up coal to get that version of Thunderer, and then she turns around and gets nerfed after she leaves the shop. That's just really silly, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, she certainly did need the nerf. And like with other ships too, like with Conqueror, Smolensk, Richthofen, they do take their time in nerfing these ships or applying these changes or buffing some other ships too. But you also have to understand that this is Wargaming. This isn't EA. This isn't Activision. This isn't some AAA studio that's able to have 1,000-something employees working on 1 or 2 issues. So it's a very small team. It takes some time to get stuff done. And they are for sure being more cautious and more careful about the changes that they're making to ships that are already in-game. They changed their method of balancing ships from making big sweeping changes to small and minute changes about a year ago, and it's worked for the positive in my opinion. It takes longer for changes to get done, but at the end of the day, the end result's better changes, for that at least. And don't get me wrong, there's stuff that they do that I definitely don't agree with. Anyone who's watched this channel knows that. I've made plenty of videos calling them out for things that I don't agree with or things that are outright just stupid, in my opinion. I just wanted to make this video talking about those 3 main promises being broken or lies being told. I just wanted to address those because I'm sure we're going to hear about them a lot in the coming future, especially with Submarines coming out. Anyway guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way now to 25,000 subs. We just passed 24,600 a few days ago, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. Also, make sure to come and check out the stream tonight at 5 p.m. U.S. Central Time right here on the channel and on Twitch until 8 p.m. U.S. Central Time. I hope to see you guys there. Again, guys, hope you have a wonderful Friday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.